Thank you, Shukran Yaro, for having me here. Thank you, Recorded team. I'm so happy to be here, not only because this is something I'm passionate about, this topic, but also because I'm just like you guys. I'm one of you. I'm an Iraqi Jordanian, actually, and kind of like Canadian now. But I grew up with a lot of challenges. I didn't have a lot of resources, so I had to, when I started, like, I think my first freelance client in 2012, and my first remote job I started in 2015. I didn't have much resources. That I was going through like mental health challenges, physical health challenges, like a lot of other things. I didn't have resources, so I had to learn a lot of things my way. I had to explore and do things on my own. So I'm just like you. If I did it, you can do it. So whatever I'm gonna say today, or whatever you're gonna see project I've done before, know that it's not something that it's hard. It's just something that I had like it came from curiosity and came from pushing myself a bit. And you're gonna notice today that in most of my workshops, I focus not just on teaching you like techniques and what to learn, but also the mindset. Because I can tell you, for example, like if you want to be a freelancer, like a programmer, like learn, let's say now full stack web development, or like data science, AI, whatever is like the hot topic right now. So go learn it. But then maybe Facebook or Web3 gonna come up with a new language or a new technology in 1 year, and everything gonna change. Maybe a new trend is gonna happen to the world and everything change. So it's not only about the techniques and what skills that you can learn, it's also the mindset. So hopefully today I'm going to infuse some things around like self-awareness and some other stuff that can help you just have this mindset. So whatever can happen, you can still be adaptable. You can still survive in the, let's say, freelance world. So why freelancing? Let's start with knowing why freelancing. And basically, I'm categorizing this speech today, or like this workshop, into like 4 different categories. So I'm going to start giving you some insights about the freelancing world. Then we're going to go on how you can become like a good freelancer. And then we're going to talk about portfolio, because portfolio is a very big part of being a good freelancer, right? And then in the end, I'm going to give you some tips that can hopefully help you like advance on other people trying to get into the freelance world. Okay, so nice. I see. Thank you guys for this. Is great. I'm loving the comments. So why freelancing? We know that the world is changing, right? Like COVID-19 is now digital transformation. 9-to-5 jobs is not as much as common as before. So a lot of companies and startups are shifting, even for their full-time employees, the ones who do 9-to-5, they're giving them more flexible schedules. Some companies like in Canada and in New Zealand, Australia, they're starting to do the 4 days working week. So instead of 5 days, like from Monday to Friday, they're doing it like maybe Monday, Thursday. So the world is changing, right? And not just because of COVID, they're always going to, things come up. The technology is always going to keep like transforming, right? So the freelancing kind of world, if you are on the internet, you probably have seen one of these keywords before. So like when we talk about remote work, gig economy, side hustle, temporary workers, self-employed people, independent contractors, solo entrepreneurs, like freelancers, all these things, if you've heard or seen any content about it, it's revolved around the idea of, it's in its core, like it's a lot around flexibility, and maybe you could say freelancing in a way. Okay, so a lot of what I'm going to say today doesn't only apply on being like a typical freelancer, just like doing being a full-time freelancer. It's also apply if you're interested to be in the remote world, like remote work world, or like you want to be a self-employed, etc. Okay, so from Statista, we know that it's projected by 2027, around like 86 million people will be freelancing in the United States, and will make up around 50% of the total US workforce. So that's really important insight, because that's showing us that it's like there's a huge shift. And I think this number, this statistic, it didn't come during COVID. I think it came before COVID. So anyway, like organization and the world kind of like knew that the world is shifting to more flexibility model of work. Okay. So Um, you know, one important thing when we talk about freelancing, it's a lot of people think it's you becoming it's about you being a programmer or like a coder or like an engineer, a typical developer, like somebody working or in a typical startup, maybe UX designer, as some of you mentioned in the comments, right? Or graphic design. Freelancing is it could be anything, right? So like for me, even coaching, sometimes I do freelance coaching sometimes. There's a lot of people who do freelance tutoring, like teaching language. Like I know even people in Middle East and where we come from, like I had friends in Jordan who teach Arabic online to other people. So that's kind of like freelancing, right? And then virtual assistants. So like a lot of people, for example, who are in HR and administration roles, there's also a need in the market for people doing kind of these things. So sometimes you would, if you want to go on this freelancing platform, you're going to see them called as virtual assistants, right? So marketers is a very common thing. If you can help a company or a person with their social media and SEO, content creation, whatever, that's also a common freelancing thing, right? Being a marketer. So freelancing is not just for developers or designers, it's for everyone, right? Like there's a space for everyone, right? And it's really important to know that in general, people expect that if you want to be a freelancer, like you want to get into the flexibility world of work, you have to have this kind of like a setup. You have to be very fast. You have already to have like so many clients. And a lot of people, when they get into freelancing and they go online to see the very high top freelancers who have a lot of reviews already, that's kind of like discourage them because they think, oh, if I want to kind of like get a flexible job or get a freelance project or something, then I'll need to be like these people. But it's really not. Like not when I started. I'm still, a lot of the projects I do is just like on my laptop, right? I don't have a fancy desk. I don't have, when I started, like I didn't know anything. I didn't have any skills. Like although I did computer science for my background education, but most of my, if you read a little bit about my career, like you will know, yes, I did some tech work, but a lot of my work is not in tech actually. It's in business and marketing, entrepreneurship, and now like training and coaching, right? So everything I did with, not everything, most of the things I did with freelancing and part-time job, side hustles, the gigs I did before were I didn't have resources. So I had to do it on my own, right? Without a fancy computer, without knowing a lot of things, without studying that, right? So if you now feel that freelancing is something, or like generally working, and by the way, a lot of the things I did was like me working full-time 9 to 5 and then doing these projects after working hours or like on weekends, and I still do that. I still have 9 to 5, but I do a lot of these freelance things on the weekends. And a lot of times I had 2 part-time jobs. So when I was in Jordan, living in Jordan, like I was doing a part-time job and then maybe like a side hustle, my own nonprofit, and then maybe like a freelance project, right? So yeah, you don't, it's freelancing again, it's not only being full-time. You can be a part-time employee and then doing freelance like on the part as well. You can be somebody who's doing even a full-time thing that's very flexible, but that's also revolved around freelancing. So learning how to be a good freelancer not only helps you with let's say being like a typical freelancer, like full-time, or like someone who is an entrepreneur or a solo entrepreneur, right? It also helps you when you're doing a job that is like 9 to 5 flexible. You'll be able to know how to work around things, how to manage yourself, and how to accomplish a lot of things and multitask and so on, right? So how can we become like a freelancer, or how can we become a good freelancer, right? So obviously self-awareness is something I already touched a little bit about you already, but I'm going to give you some other things when it comes to self-awareness. And then career awareness is very, very important thing, right? And then marketing. And by the way, when it comes to marketing, it's not only if you want to be a freelancer or like an entrepreneur, whatever your role, whatever you want to do in this world, if you're a coach, if you're a writer, if you're a content creator, YouTuber, marketing is a very important skill. So like you always have to think about building marketing skills while you're building other skills in the area you want to specialize in, okay? So when we talk about self-awareness and why it's important to become a good freelancer, you have to know yourself, right? So you have to know if in general, the flexibility world of work and freelancing is the right thing for you, right? And not everyone is built to be like a typical freelancer. Some people just love to have their typical 9 to 5. Some people, like I work on weekends sometimes, and I do work after my 9 to 5, but it's really not for everyone. Like some weeks I would just pass and I don't want to do anything, right? So you have to understand your personality. Are you more the kind of person who's very flexible and you love to be in the flexibility world of work? Or are you more like very structured and you want to have just like a safe, sustainable income all the time? And just do that, right? It also depends. Like if you're in a phase in your life where you have to focus on your family, you're self-aware that you have a family and responsibility, then maybe like a typical freelance world or entrepreneurship or self-employed world is not the right thing for you. Because I'm going to explain a bit, although just like anything else in the world, any job, everything has its cons and pros, advantages and disadvantages, right? So with the freelancing, you have to be very good with self-management. Some people, for example, artists, people who are like more on the artistic and very creative side, which is like very typical, I would say, designers, like the people who are very passionate and creative. These people always struggle with self-regulation and self-management. Why? Because their creative side make them want to just do the thing they want to work on. But in the freelance work, a lot of time you're gonna work on projects or things that you might not be super passionate about. So it's important to know yourself, right? And passion, obviously, because if you're not working in an area you're interested in and it's matched with your personality and your core strengths, you're gonna give up, right? So like for me, what helps me do these extra hours after my 9 to 5 or on the weekends is because I'm doing freelance projects on things I'm passionate about, right? So for me, yes, it's hard work, but it doesn't feel like I'm working that much hard, right? Because for me, a lot of it makes me happy, right? So it's very important to choose projects and things that align with you. And in your case, you have to figure out, okay, am I more on the creative side? So like if you're like someone who did software engineering, computer science, but like you feel you have some creativity and artistic part in you, maybe then front end developer or front end design is more fit freelancing area or like more of a specialization for you, because a typical back end developer is not a lot of creativity, right? So you have to get this self-awareness part very well, right? And I see some, okay, Abdullah doing the Q for some. Thank you, Yara. Thank you very much. So the other thing, and this is again goes back to the self-management motivation. With freelancing and entrepreneurship or being like self-employed in general, you don't have employees around you. You don't have a manager to motivate you. You don't have always a salary coming every month, a paycheck every 2 weeks coming to you, right? So you have to learn how to motivate yourself intrinsically, right? Like you have to learn how I can, when I have a deadline, when I have a part-time job, but then I'm working with 2 freelance clients and I have a deadline, I have to be professional and deliver that, although maybe like I'm not feeling in this phase, in this day, I'm very motivated. So you have to learn how to do a lot of things around motivation and self-management, right? And of course, discipline. The fourth thing I mentioned here is discipline when it comes to self-awareness. So, if you ask even writers, people who write books and do content creation, a lot of the things you see on the internet they do, they don't feel every day they're passionate about it. Like there will be days where you have to just be disciplined and sit and finish. That's why for me personally, what helped me, although I'm very on the artistic and creative side, if you go on my website or look me up or just meet me in person, you're gonna know I'm very informal, I'm very unstructured. But what always helped me like accomplish and finish projects is learning discipline, right? So discipline balance my creative side in a way, okay? And same for you. If you're a developer, like a typical engineer who are not interested maybe in art or design, more like you like to work and with coding algorithms, typical like machines, engineering things, right? Then learning the other thing, which is creativity, is going to be very important for you, because if you want to market yourself as a freelancer, you will need creativity. So again, self-awareness is important. If you think you're like a very of type of engineer person, very structured, you're not very on the creative side, then it's good to learn creativity, because that's going to help you with marketing and knowing how to better sell your things and sell your services, right? If you're more on the creative side, you're learning discipline and self-management, right? And pushing yourself. So understanding yourself is super important here, right? Exactly. You could say discipline is a long term. I would say both of them, Helena, both of them, discipline and motivation is a short term and long term. It depends on, we have to use them all the time, both, right? Now, career awareness, and this is very, very, very important area. When we say career awareness, we have to, just like we understand ourselves, we have to understand the career world or the market. We have to understand how the world is working. So just like not understanding your own world, you have to understand the external world, like the market, the job world, right? And in the case of jobs in general, not just freelancing, you have to understand what kind of skills match my strength. Or like, so if you're someone, again, creative, then a digital design is a skill, right? To be learned online in the market world or in the job world. That's a skill matching with your personality. So you have to choose skills exist in the job world that match kind of your strengths, right? And your talent, right? Because each one of us is a talent in their own way, right? So you have to follow up with the market and read reports and insights and read a lot of articles and follow up with being smart about the type of people and content you follow. So you have to, for example, go on Twitter and look up what kind of successful freelancers, what kind of people talks about the future and the trends happening in the workplace and the career world around the skills and right, and around like what's needed in the world, and follow them and always be updated to what's going on. Because again, just like I mentioned in the beginning, if you learn something and then after 1 year the world changed, or like Facebook come up with a new language, programming language, or maybe you were a typical graphic designer, but now Canva as a tool came up to the market and people are not anymore using a lot of, for example, Photoshop and whatever other tools, then you have to know that in advance. So you kind of start shifting your skills into Canva, just an example, or shifting your skills into what's required in the market world, right? So, and when I say here like gaps, so you have to understand what exists in the world. So now because of COVID, the world for the past like 2 years been shifting a lot, digital transformation. So a lot of people, like programmers, obviously, and engineers were a lot more in need, right? That's why a lot of people, but then again, what's one of the most common trends now is AI. So if you're someone who knows like AI is your passion and it's engineering, building algorithms, like writing code is a strength for, is something aligned with your personality, then you have to follow up with AI. You have to take courses around AI and machine learning and etc. Right? So this is how having a career awareness. And of course the region, because every region, every country has its own market. So a lot of freelancers I hired before or worked with on these platforms, I'm gonna show you later, like a page, show you like multiple platforms you can put your services on. But like, for example, Fiverr, Khamsat in Arabic, freelancer.com is all common platforms for freelancing, right? When I was in Middle East, I used to hire people from South Asia, India, and Pakistan. when I'm in Canada now, when I want to hire someone, most likely I will hire someone maybe in North America or like maybe even South America, Latin America, because of the time zone matching. And also because a lot of people here in Canada, they prefer to work with people from this region. So you have to understand where are you selling your services. If you want to have clients in US, then you either have to learn how the US world works and shift your marketing and services and things to align and communication and messaging to align with what the US businesses and clients look for, right? Or you just have to focus on where you're at, and because focus in freelancing is very important, right? So when it comes to marketing, we have basically on a simple terms, there's two types of marketing. There's inbound and outbound. Inbound means I build assets. I build like a social media page about my freelancing or my freelance project or my own project, whatever it is, right? I do SEO, search engine optimization for my website. I put myself out there in as much freelancing platforms as I can. So when I'm not working on the online, I can get some clients, right? So the more you work on your inbound stuff, which is basically marketing yourself on these platforms, having like a website that's ranked in Google and etc., all these things, or having a lot of reviews, for example, so people can find you, the more you're able to get clients. Outbound is another category of marketing and sales, you can also say. It's about you reaching out to people, right? So if you want to be a successful freelancer and marketer, you shouldn't just focus on the inbound. You should focus on also reaching out. So going to networking events. When I was in Jordan and doing freelancing, I had a business card that shows links for my things and things around my freelancing. So wherever I go, I used to go a lot of events. So whenever I meet someone and I talk to them and I feel maybe they can benefit from my own services or my own expertise, skills, whatever, I would give them my business card so they can remember me, for example. But in the online world, it also can be like you on LinkedIn Go and messaging people, right? Reaching out to people, maybe finding like an email of a certain, you found maybe a job ad somewhere, a company looking for a freelancer or like a part-time employee. Maybe you can take that email in the job description and email the hiring manager or someone telling them, hey, this is what I've done before. This is my portfolio. Do you think you would be interested to have my help? So this is kind of like outbound. You not only build assets that get you clients like reviews and SEO and social media, it's you reaching out to people. Okay, so this is very important also when it comes to marketing. Portfolio, obviously, we're going to talk about it in a bit, but portfolio is a very important part of having like being a successful freelancer or self-employed person. Okay, so now putting these all together, when you have good self-awareness, when you have good career awareness, and you're good and you have marketing skills, you know how to market yourself, that's what you're gonna get you clients. Many people who are in the freelance world, especially people who are very technical, let's say typical developers and typical people who are like, even maybe I would say designers, even purely writers and people who do translation, they don't know how to do marketing. So they have amazing skills, but because they don't know how to do marketing, they don't end up getting clients. Okay, so marketing is very important. Now, what I mean here by skills, service, solutions. So when we talk about the other parts of being how you can be a good freelancer is project management and things around like pay and legal. And if you see in the project management, I have mentioned something called communication, professionalism, and managing yourself. I already talked about managing yourself. When I talk about communication and professionalism here, if you're a good communicator, and this again has to do with marketing, if you're a good marketer, you're a good communicator, right? So if you know how to communicate well, you will be able to translate your skills into services, into solutions. So when you're talking to a client or a manager or someone you want to sell your service, or you want them to hire you, whether this person found you through a freelancer.com platform, or whether you met them in an event or met them on LinkedIn, whatever, it's not that I see a lot of freelancers reach out to me, and in general, freelancers, what would they say? Like, hey, I can help you build a website. I'm a web developer, for example. This is you're telling them what's your skill. If you get a little bit further ahead, you might tell them, hey, I can help you, for example, build a website. This is more like of putting your skill into service. The best communicators are the people who are able to turn these into solutions, communicate. So when I used to meet people, and I still, like, when I sometimes get projects from like freelance projects, because I'm good in communication, and I learned that it's not, when I was young, I was not an extrovert, I was an introvert. I had to learn how to push myself and do a lot of things, right? So when they, for example, I tell them, hey, what's some of your challenges going for you now? So when they say, hey, I'm tight on budget, for example, or like I'm going, for example, I'm losing a lot of time on not able to market my services online, or people don't know me, right? I'm not going to tell them, hey, I'm a social media marketer. What I'm going to tell them, hey, let's meet, for example, I have some ideas for you that could help you build some things online that will automate your workflow, or that would help you save costs in this area. So you see the difference in my communication, and this is something you can learn. You can take courses online and network, get some mentors, people who know about these things, so you're able to know how to turn your skills into solutions. So you'll have, when you're talking to people, you have to understand their needs and how to sell yourself as a solution, not just as a skill, okay? Now, when it comes back to project management, so managing yourself, obviously, I talked about this, and it's not only managing yourself when it comes to self-awareness, discipline, and motivation, but it's also the art, exactly, Yara, the art of communication. And communication is an art. It's a very important thing everyone needs to learn, right? So managing yourself here, when it comes to project management, is also learning some tools. So I use Trello for my own projects, right? Like some companies use Trello. I use Trello and Notion. Maybe you guys are familiar with these two tools. I'll write them in the chat. It helps me organize myself and projects, right? These are two amazing tools. So you have to learn some tools to manage yourself and manage your projects, right? Communication, I've already talked about this. Professionalism. And professionalism is, I can tell you 100% is what differentiates people who get a lot of reviews and people who get a lot of clients from people who not. One of the reasons people here in Canada and other parts in the Western world or North America don't like to work with people, freelancers from maybe Middle East or South Asia, is because we didn't grow up learning how to do things on time. Maybe sometimes we didn't learn how to be very precise in delivering things, right? So a lot of times this causes frustration. So if you learn how to be professional and deliver things and be very clear, have a clarity in your communication, the way you deliver your work and do things, that's just going to make your clients happy. And that's going to differentiate you from all, not all, I keep saying all, most of the clients, because most of the clients come from freelancers in the world comes from developing countries, comes from China, India, Middle East, right? Like Latin America, maybe like Mexico, etc. Right? So if you learn professionalism, it's going to differentiate you from a lot of these people, right? And not to say here, like, I mean, I am from Middle East, right? So I also had to learn professionalism. I was not very clear in the way I do things and deliver things, so I had to learn that, right? Now, just a quick things on pay and legal. If you're, I see sometimes people getting into self-employed work and freelancing, getting confused about how to charge people and how to go with comes to registering your business or the legal stuff, right? So a general rule of thumb, when you working with someone, you either charge them by an hour or you charge them by per project. So for example, if someone I know, again, it's not necessarily you find a client through like online or LinkedIn or the freelancer.com, all these platforms, right? You might find them as they might be your cousin. Your cousin, you might be with them one time and they tell you, I'm looking to open a business. So right away, what you can tell them, hey, do you think you're going to need a website for your business? If they say yes, they then, hey, I know I'm a web developer, like I'm a designer, for example, I can help you with that. Now, when you want to charge this person who wants to have a website, for example, you either tell them, hey, for this type of website, I can charge you $500. Or you can tell them this is going to take me, for example, 30 hours. And my hour rate usually as a freelancer or like as a self-employed person is, for example, $15, $20. Okay. Or sometimes I worked with people or projects that we didn't know what's the beginning and end of project. So we had like kind of like a contract or an agreement that every weekend, I give them 5 hours, whatever they want from me in these 5 hours, right? So this is another model, right? So like you could tell someone, hey, I can come to your business or like I can help you 5 hours only on certain days. That's another model, okay? If you're starting out, maybe I would say per project would be a good thing for you, because it's very clear for both of you and the client. You can tell them, hey, for this kind of design logo, it's going to cost you, I did this branding for you, this logo is going to cost you $200, right? And that's it. Maybe they give you half of the payment in the beginning, and then after you deliver everything, you get all the rest of the payment, right? So when it comes to legal stuff, learning, many of freelancers, if you want to just do normal freelancing, you're not getting most of your income and money from freelancing, and not making so much money, and you have a lot of multiple clients, and you are hiring people, then you can just be self-employed. You don't have, especially in Middle East. I don't know exactly now, because I left Iraq, Jordan like long time ago. But in general, even people living in abroad, if they just do freelance projects or like do projects every once in a while, like maybe once per month, whatever, then you don't have to worry much about registering your business. But if you started and it's become a part-time thing, but then you start getting a lot of clients, right? Then that's when the time you'll have to think about registering yourself as a self-employed or like as a small business, whatever it is. In Canada, if you get more than $30,000 per year from self-employed income, then that's when you have to register like a small business for you, okay? And do the taxes and etc. So every country, you have to check with your country, right? When it comes to contracts, is important, right? So if you're working, what I mean here by contracts, if you're working on these platforms like Hamsat or Fiverr or freelancer.com or any of these platforms, then kind of these platforms like secure your contract. So like they're the ones who take the money from the client and give it to you. But if you're working with your relatives, someone you met in an event, a friend, someone you met on LinkedIn, online, whatever, someone came through your social media marketing, whatever, then it's better just to do like maybe like a kind of like a page where it says like an agreement, right? Of course, if you're registered and you have a legal thing, that just but in general, I would say most of the time people not going, if you're working with someone who look like they're serious about the thing they want to do, and they give you half payment in the beginning, then most of the time they're not going to so even if you're not going to do a contract, that's okay. But you have to be smart. You have to choose people that look serious, right? Okay. So portfolio. So when it comes to portfolio, and by the way, whatever question you have, you can post it on the chat, and then I'm going to leave maybe like the last 10 minutes for QA, right? So just leave it now on the chat, and I'll make sure to answer, right? When we have the QA. So when it comes to portfolio, it's very important to do kind of like two things, right? So explain and show, and I'll tell you in the next slide what does that mean. And document. So documentation, document your projects you're working on. So what I mean by explain and show, you have to, and I'll show you examples in a bit, like for some people who are freelancers who have really nice portfolio, not really nice, they're like not special. I chose people who are not very high advanced freelancers with a lot of reviews. I chose people just like me and you. They just do freelancing on the side. I'll show you some examples so you can learn from them. But in general, when we say explain, you have to know how to explain the main tasks and deliverables you worked on. By the way, in case you know what's a portfolio is a document or a place or a website that shows the projects you worked on, right? So each project you worked on, you have to explain the main tasks and deliverables you did, right? And this is, again, if you are a good communicator and you know how to do marketing well, and you learn how to be clear, project management, self-management things, then you will be able to explain things on your portfolio in a so a good communicator and a good marketer can build so much better portfolio than just like a person who don't know about these things, okay? The other thing you do on your portfolio when you show me your projects is describing how you tackled each client's problem, right? So if you build the website, that still kind of like saved your client kind of like something, or it helped, it solved a problem for your client. So maybe on your portfolio, you don't write, I built a website, both front end and back end. You can maybe you can mention that in the description, but maybe in the title you mention like, I've managed to save my client XYZ of things through my web design. You see how the communication and language here is very important when you're putting it into your portfolio, okay? The other thing is highlighting your skills and tools and technologies you use. So if you're a designer and you build like a branding or a logo for someone, then it's nice to put in bullet points, for example, what's the tools and I think Recorded probably, you guys, when you take Recorded bootcamps, they also explain this to you, like probably like most of bootcamps, they explain to you how to do a portfolio. So like just putting bullet points, what kind of like, or icons, what kind of like software you use, what kind of tools you used, right? And show, this is have to also connect to kind of like documentation, documenting your project. So show as much as you can. So if your portfolio is a website, if your portfolio is just maybe a PDF, like some of my portfolio, like I have a multiple versions depending on the project I'm giving to the client, but a lot of mine are just PDF document. I do it on Google Doc and I put pictures, I put screenshots all together, like paragraphs, and then I just turn it into PDF from Word or Google Doc, and I just send it to my client as PDF. So this is how I work a lot in my project. So you can always do whatever resources you have. You don't have to have a website, right? You can just do things with whatever you have, okay? So show as much as you can, pictures, screenshot, code snippets. If you worked on code snippets, maybe like you've built a JavaScript nice thing, right? So then you take that screenshot and put it as a code snippet into your portfolio on the website, whatever, right? Testimonials, if a client tell you, your delivery was amazing, I really liked your logo, whatever, then you can put that, ask them, can I put what you told me into a testimonial? And then you can put that as a testimonial. You can put designs, you can put elements, whatever you worked on a project. Make make sure as much as you can to put visual things, okay? And again, here, when you say document, so here what I mean by document exactly is it's exactly like show, but here it's more on your side. It's not what you show people. So you have to have the mindset of whatever you work on, you document. So for me, myself, when I work with when I have a full-time job, like a 9-to-5 employer I'm working with, I turn the tasks I worked on into case studies. I have this mindset because this helps me always be in this portfolio mindset, always be in this kind of like trying to turn my life, my stories, my tasks, my projects, whatever it is, my education into something that look like in a portfolio format, or something that look like it can help people understand what I've been working on. So even your education, you could, if you don't have many clients now and you want to build a portfolio, then you can just really, if you volunteer, or in university, you were part of a club, membership in a university club or something, and you worked on presentation, whatever, you can take a picture and just write something about that. So always try to take pictures when you do things. Vlogs, sometimes if you have vlogs, a YouTube channel, and you document your life there, you can also use that. If you're applying for a marketing freelance project, then the manager wants to see that you are good on YouTube. So that could be a good on your marketing portfolio, for example, if you're a YouTuber or you have vlogs. Okay. Okay, so let's go through some portfolio examples quickly, and and I think, yeah, I think when I downloaded this, it didn't take the exact links right. So just give me a second. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. The link is not. I'm not able to copy the link for a reason.
Okay, let me try to get it for you, Abdullah. I think I can.
Oh, yes. Okay, I get it.
Just a second.
Yeah, I think when I downloaded from the tool I use presentation on, it didn't. So anyway, since we don't have much time, so as you see, this is Claudia. I don't know her. I just like, she looks like a simple person. I liked her portfolio online, right? So I put it there. So she's a data scientist. So if you go on her portfolio, just like a simple website, anyone now these days can use a Wix, WordPress, whatever tool you want to use to put that. So as you can, she's a data scientist. It's very simple portfolio, right? She's a data analyst, data specialist, data scientist. So she put exactly her services, right? You see here, what can she provide people? A picture about her, like a little bit of description, bio, and then the project she worked on, right? So for example, she built this dashboard for someone. If we click on it, we will see that this is, if you remember what I mentioned about explain tasks and deliverables when it comes to building a portfolio, and describe how you talk to the client problem. Look of how Claudia put things into a clear communication, right? So she mentioned an overview in the beginning about the project she worked on. Then she put what was the goal, what was the result, and what was the project duration. And then she put screenshot from the dashboard. So it's really simple, but it's very, when someone see this, they will know she's a professional, although it's very simple. So if I want to hire someone, I'll most likely hire someone like her, because she looks like a professional person, right? Now let's look, and then this presentation is going to be posted, so you can check the other examples I mentioned here. But for example, let's go to this guy, right? It's very simple. He has a GitHub page. He just put icons like the language and tools he used, and he put his like social media links here, even though it's just a GitHub thing. But he's still kind of like, and a lot of people, let me tell you, a lot of freelancers even don't have something like this. So make sure you build a portfolio, make sure you have a GitHub if you're a programmer, if you're like working around engineering, and make sure as much as you can to document whatever you work on in your life, whether it's part of your bootcamp, education, degree, project, university, volunteering, whatever, and try to put that in a nice way into your website, portfolio, GitHub, LinkedIn, whatever, okay? This is the mindset, again, of a successful freelancer, right? This is something that even if you learn the best languages, if you become very, very good full stack developer or very good logo designer, or very good translator, you speak 7 languages. If you're not able to show and tell and document, you're not going to get much clients. Okay. So, just lastly, let me spend maybe 2 minutes on the tips, and then we can have like questions. And I'm happy to stay with you guys for additional 5 minutes if Yara want. So we can have like a full 10 minutes for a QA. And even if some people had more questions, I can say a bit more. Okay, so tips: be productive. So is important, following everything I mentioned. Also, be very smart about your time. So honestly, don't waste your time watching so much of this kind of webinars and like my workshops. Like, even though I put videos online and there's a lot of YouTubers, there's a lot of webinars out there, don't put so much time into it. Try to focus on building things. Try to focus on output versus input, because learning is important, but learning is an input. But if you get into the mindset of output, me building, me designing, me creating, creation versus consuming, that's what, again, also going to differentiate for a successful. So yes, learn every once in a while, but focus on the creating part and showing part as well, very much, right? Try and fail. Don't take it seriously. Here, this is something you're going to get, like the list of resources. You can check each. So for example, in the opportunity section, you can see these are all around 10 platforms you can put your services on as a freelancer, similar to freelancer.com. But don't take things serious. Like, go there. If you see that you don't have reviews or something, don't get discouraged. Sign up on each platform, put your services, be patient, learn as much as you can. You can learn any language, any programming language, any design skill, anything from these resources as well. You can take Coursera courses, you can take edX, you can learn on LinkedIn, Datacon, Treehouse, Codecamp. There's so much resources out there to help you learn skills, right? Just like me, I studied computer science, but most of the projects I did were not in computer science. I had to learn marketing, I had to learn consulting, I had to learn coaching, all from using some of these resources, right? And then practice. What I mean here by practice is you've got, for example, devpost.com. This place is amazing for finding hackathons online. So hackathons is a great place to practice your skills. So you can go there and look what kind of hackathons match your passion or interest, and then sign up there and work with other people, collaborate, and this is just going to add more projects to you. It will make your portfolio better, right? And just help you learn more communication, learn how to work with people more, how to work with freelancers, right? Volunteermatch.org, you can find organizations willing to help you volunteer. Like, you can reach out to organizations looking for volunteers. You can tell them, hey, if you're just starting out, you can tell them, hey, I can help you design this, I can help you build, I'm a marketer, I can help you build social media pages, etc. right? Adils.org is a great place to find volunteer stuff. And online networking, just like I mentioned, LinkedIn, for example, reaching out to people on LinkedIn is something amazing, and it's very helpful, right? Find people on LinkedIn who is doing projects or things similar to the area you want to do. Reach out to them to get their help as a mentor. Maybe half hour online Zoom, you can get some of their advice. Maybe reach out to them to offer your services, right? Maybe reach out to them to just ask a question and get an answer, right? Be curious and try as much as you can to reach out, not just sign up on these platforms on the left and just waiting for clients to come your way, okay? Again, and by the way, my social media handle is Abdullah and Beyond. This is my LinkedIn and this is my Instagram. You can connect with me if you have any questions. If you need any help regarding things around career exploration, freelancing, things around the career world, I'm just like you. I really want to help you guys. So don't hesitate to message me, connect with me. If you have any questions, I will try as much as I can help to answer you. and help you and hopefully guide you into being someday one of these best freelancers out there. Okay, so